So speaking of Jacqueline, there has been a lot of text messages circulating online. Basically, Jacqueline showing her side of that text that Melissa read out loud during part two of RHONJ reunion. So there's a lot there, and obviously I'm sure they're not doctored texts. Jacqueline did text that, and Jackie too. One thing that I'm surprised that nobody has talked about is the fact that I believe it's Jackie making a comment about Teresa and calling her, saying like she thinks that Teresa might be low-key anti-Semite. Listen, I'm sure you can call Teresa a lot of things, but I don't think that one is valid, right? Like, you can love the queen or not like her at all, but I'm just saying I don't believe in my heart that Teresa is anti-Semite. And I just don't like when people throw those kinds of labels on people, because it's damaging. We've seen what it did to Margaret when Siggy said that. Mind you, Siggy may have felt some sort of way towards Margaret at that point, but I don't think that the word that she said at that point was appropriate, right? And like Margaret said back then, it's damaging, it's a character of assassination, it is career ending, and all of that. So for my part, I've always heard Teresa say on the show that she loves Jewish people. She said that multiple times. So I don't know. I can't help to think why Jackie feels that way when it comes to Teresa. I know that Teresa has not been very accepting of Jackie. She kind of made her feel like she doesn't belong, that they're not cut from the same cloth, her and Dolores. But I don't think it has to do with the fact that Jackie is Jewish. So I just wanted to say that, right? Now, there was a lot in those text messages. Here's the thing. I understand the past is the past, right? And Teresa has come out even on her podcast and said, you know what, I don't care, because that was before I even made out with Jacqueline. So whatever she said about me, that's in the past. Whatever I said about her, that's in the past. And I agree. The only thing that I would say, though, it would make sense for Jackie, like, that's just my opinion, guys. It would make sense for Jacqueline to be in that space, after season 7. I think season 7 was her last season on the show. So after that season, I could see Jacqueline like texting people left and right and just write like really nasty stuff about Teresa. It's expected. Like, it was fresh back then. But at that point, Jacqueline and Teresa had not been in contact for like 7-8 years after she left the show. Basically after Teresa gave her the kiss of death, there was no communication with Jacqueline. So I find it kind of weird that 7 years later, you would still be in that space, because you have to remember, Teresa and Jacqueline reconciled sometime in 2022. And that text between her and Jackie was in 2021. How Jacqueline and Jackie know each other, I have absolutely no idea, because Jackie was not on the show with Jacqueline at any point. So someone must have reached out to somebody to talk smack about Teresa. But that's not the point. What I find interesting is that in 2021, 7 years after exiting the show, Jacqueline still had very strong feelings about her relationship or friendship with Teresa. And I just find it kind of like weird, because it's like, you're supposed to go through like steps of healing, right? Like, there's like a healing process. And to me, it just sounds like for somebody that has reconciled with Teresa and said, we're back to being Lucy and Ethel, I just find it kind of weird that she was still in that very negative place and state of mind back in 2021. So, I'm just going to say, Teresa, you're a big girl, you do whatever you want, but I would still be careful and, just proceed with caution when it comes to Jacqueline. That's just my advice to you. But, another thing about those text messages, and I've said before, I don't believe that Jacqueline is the most credible person when it comes to Teresa and her relationship with her brother or with her cast members. But I will say this. The only thing that I believe in that text has to do with Teresa and Dolores's relationship. Okay, I have said this multiple times on my podcast. I do not believe in the friendship between Teresa and Dolores. I don't believe that they're actually as close as they're trying to make it seem on the show. That's just my own personal opinion. I think they have more of an alliance with each other. If you read that book, Not All Diamonds and Rosé, even Dolores admits to it, and she just says that her and Teresa made a pact that they'll never go against each other on the show no matter what, and that's just the end of the story, right? So here's the thing. The reason why I believe Jacqueline is not because of what Jacqueline is saying. That's just my personal opinion. I don't believe that Dolores has Teresa's back like that. The reason why I'm saying this is it's okay to be Switzerland, but it's kind of weird that you have a friend that has so many people that dislike her that you are so close to, right? And I've always said this. It's like when Teresa and Caroline Menzel fell out, you could tell there's no love lost between like Caroline and Teresa. But Dolores is very good friend with Caroline, right? And then Dolores is also very good friend with Kim D, who I happen to like as well. I've said that multiple times. I think that Kim D is great TV. And if they were to bring back somebody on the show next season, let it be her, right? Let it be her. Let it be Kim. But yes, so Dolores is good friends with Kim. Good friends. And we know that Kim and Teresa are not friends like that. I don't know if they're trying to get back to being friends now that Teresa is friends with Jacqueline, and maybe Jacqueline wants to kind of like orchestrate like some sort of like, you know, kumbaya between them. But that's just my own opinion. I don't know that for a fact, right? But I'm just saying, as things are standing right now, I don't believe that Kim D and Teresa are friends. So Dolores is good friends with Kim D. And Kim has said that in interviews before. She said back then, you know, when Joe was away in jail, like Teresa was seeing people, and she was saying that everybody on the cast knew, including Dolores, but that Dolores would not say anything on camera because she doesn't want to lose her job. You know, there has been things that Dolores has done on camera where you could tell that she's not necessarily agreeing with Teresa, even in her confessionals. Like, you know, there's a way about her that she says things, right? But I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that Dolores, when she turns around and that, because Teresa's wrong a lot. You know, she's wrong a lot. Like, whether you like her or not, whether she is good TV or not, she is wrong most of the time, right? And I find it kind of weird that, like, when Dolores is, like, sitting with Caroline, that she would not say something about Teresa, right, to Caroline. I'm not saying that it happened. I'm just saying, like, I don't trust it. I never really trusted it, right? So, and a lot of people have alluded to that. You know, even Dina back then, she said she was on a trip with Dolores. They were in Atlantic City, I believe, and they were having a good girl time together. And Dolores was on the phone talking to somebody, and she was basically trashing Dina's husband at the time, right? So while she was vacationing with her. So another thing too, if you go back season 7, the last season that Jacqueline was on, at the reunion, Teresa looks at Dolores and says, "Oh, you know what, Andy? Dolores, she doesn't even love Jacqueline. She hated Jacqueline at first, right?" And then Jacqueline kind of turns around and looks at Dolores like all in shock, like, "What do you mean you hated me? I never knew that," right? And then Dolores is like, "Oh, no, hate is a strong word, Teresa. Hate is a strong word." And then she's like, "No, you hated her. You couldn't even stand her." Teresa says this with conviction back then. And then Dolores says, "Well, if you heard that, you did not hear that from me." And then Teresa says, "That's true. I didn't hear it from you. I heard it from somebody that was close to you at the time." And then Dolores just looks down and kind of nods and says nothing. That's interesting. Because if that was true, like, you know, if that wasn't true, Dolores would have been like, Teresa, shut your mouth, you're lying. Like, don't say this. I love Jacqueline. Or maybe she would have like coped to it somewhat and just said, yeah, maybe I didn't like her at the beginning, but I've grown to love her, right? But she was just kind of like, oh, yeah. Oh, okay, well, you didn't hear it from me. Oh, but I heard it from somebody that you used to be close to at the time. And then Dolores just keeps quiet. So I don't think that Jacqueline is lying there. And the reason for this is because, you know, Dolores has kind of shown us, you know, in a very subtle manner that maybe she doesn't have Teresa's back like that.